Hola, ¿qué tal? Bienvenido a mi canal de YouTube. Yo soy Frank Iñiguez, el embajador de la lectura. Y el tema de hoy, padrísimo, como siempre. Nada más que hoy tengo a alguien que me acompaña increíblemente fascinante. Tienes que mirar el video. Él se llama Richard Martinez y tiene una historia que, me dejó con la boca abierta y la vamos a compartir contigo. Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Frank Iñiguez, and this is the story I'm going to share with you. His name is Richard Martinez, an amazing story. You got to hear it. He's going to share a lot of great topics with you. Where today's topic is going to be about growth. Talk about growth. This guy, amazing. I love it, and I'm glad that he accepted to come into our YouTube channel and share with you. Welcome, Richard Martinez.
Frank.
How do you feel?
Man, I'm excited, especially after having that conversation right before this. I'm sure you guys do that on purpose of like, let's get him ready for this. And after that conversation, I'm like, I know you guys were like, are you ready? And we're like, no, are you ready? Let's bring it. So yeah, no, thank you for inviting me. I was looking at your content and I see how much value that you're putting out there. So to be on a channel that is being intentional to bring value to people, I feel honored, so thank you.
I appreciate it, man. I really feel excited with our team because we really watch out for what we do in this channel, and growth is one of our things. And when I was watching your story, watch him on Instagram, okay? Follow him, he's amazing. I'm gonna let you listen to him and let him guide you into his story and listen to it. Apply as much as you can from what he's going to be sharing with you. I know that when I listen to him, I go, wow, I gotta do some of that and some of this. And now we get to have him on our channel, your channel, and allow it to keep on growing, and may you benefit from this wonderful video that's going to focus on growth. Richard Martinez, tell us, who are you? Who are you and where do you come from?
Man. All right, so who am I? Richard Martinez. I am 39 years old. I have 2 kids. I didn't share this with you.
No, you didn't share it over there.
But I have 2 kids, twins, a boy and a girl, and they're 14 years old right now. Love them. They're my life. They, as you can see on my big face right now, I'm smiling, and I get excited when I talk to them. They were just texting me before I got here, and I just get one text from my daughter saying, "I love you." I'm like, that's so cool. Dang, that's all I need, and that just lights me up, right? Awesome. But I have kids. My family's from Zacatecas. I was born here though in East LA General Hospital, and I grew up there for a while. Then I went to La Puente, Almonte, Baldwin Park, where I spent most of my upbringing in Baldwin Park.
We connect in the East LA part. I was born in Autlán de la Grana, Jalisco, and my mother brought me here when I was 7 years old, and I grew up in East LA, and I know it's a tough area.
How was it for you?
Tough, man, very tough. My mother kept us in a straight line. She made sure that we did the right thing, and she even though she wasn't that tall, we were
Moms
all
are good at that.
Yours too?
Oh man,
yeah,
she's strict. Yeah.
So you're growing up in East LA. How long were you there?
There for like 2-3 years.
Oh,
I
so
wasn't
baby.
there. Yeah, I don't even remember most of my time there. My mother brought me to Almonte La Puente when I was like 5 or 6. So my mom and my dad, they were married. They got divorced when I was like 6 years old, and they got married to each other again. Yeah.
That's so cool.
And then they got divorced again when I was 8. So like that. They tried though. They tried really hard. And just
so
didn't work
married,
out.
Divorced, and then married again?
To each other. Yeah, they got married to each other
cool.
twice. My father, he had an issue with alcohol, and so he was doing really good in school, in high school. That's where they met, right after high school. They got a home together. My dad was working a graveyard shift, and my mom would like cook and save him a plate. And even though there wasn't anything going on there, like I guess that got to his heart, and he just fell in love with my mom because she would always save him a plate. His name was, I'm a junior, so she would put Rich on the thing and put it in the fridge, and he would get home and he fell in love with my mom. So They built a relationship, and here I am.
All right.
But that's where I tell a whole story on one of my YouTubes where I tell like a dramatic story where I'm like, okay, and this is a real story, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, there's noise outside. There's cars on the street parked everywhere. And there's nowhere else to park because that's how many people there is. You can hear the music outside. It's bumping. There is a party going on at my house, and guess what I'm doing?
What?
I'm on the side of the house next to some trash cans, laying on the floor, drinking somebody else's leftover beer.
Oh, how old?
Yeah, I'm like 6 years older here.
Oh.
See, that's the thing. Like, people are like, dang, that sounds like a party, Richard. Woo, you should have invited me. And then I'm like, yeah, but I was like 6 years old.
Oh,
and it's not because, you know, there was a party and then I see everybody kind of drinking and stuff. So that's programming for me, you know? So I'm over there on the side. Everybody's busy. And I'm like, well, I don't know, this is what they're doing. And I have that memory stuck in my head. So this is the kind of like upbringing that I was brought up. This is why my parents didn't last. My mom tried. My dad would try to clean it up. He had some issues from his past, which I got to help him work through before he died, which is a whole other, it was amazing. But, you know, he had some things I had to deal with. And because of that, those few years that I lived with my dad, because I lived with him for a few years and he used to beat the crap out of me.
Oh, wow.
It was all out in the open, like the drugs, the alcohol. He used to take me to bars with him. I lived on this street. It was called Flanner Street in La Puente. And we were that house where the freaking cops would show up. And like we were just that house. And I remember it was like a cul-de-sac. And the school that I went to was Sunkiss. It was like right across and I'm in the baseball field. And we would walk out the cul-de-sac where there's the main street. I think it's Amar. And you walk out and there's a bar right here. So it's super convenient. And so late at night, my dad would take me with him.
Wow.
Right? And so I didn't...
Talk about programming.
I didn't know that was like wrong or anything. I had no clue. It was just normal. And so we go in there and we would play pool. My dad was really good at pool. Like if he broke, you wouldn't shoot.
Oh, wow.
So he taught me. So what he would do is we would go to these bars and we'll start being with his friends. And once they got to the point where they were drunk, he would start to bet that I would beat them. And I would start to take their money right there at the bar. But that was all fun until it'd get towards the end of the night. And this would always happen. He usually wouldn't leave until he would fight.
Oh, no.
So he was the type that was like, I mean, like if you guys are hanging out right here, he would kind of just show up. And if this was like, you know, this was your drink, he would just...
No way. That's a problem.
And just hope that you would say or do something.
Oh,
he would hope. He would really hope. And if nobody would say or do something, him and his brother would end up fighting each other, and then we would go home.
It's a growth video. Believe me, it's going to get really good. You want to watch it.
I grew out of that environment, and it was very toxic, you know, and so that's why my parents didn't make it. But to be honest, one of the most powerful lessons that I've heard, that I've learned, that I still use, that impact thousands of lives today, that has helped me like nothing else, is through that experience I learned that hurt people hurt others, that broken people break others. And that has helped me to understand, like with my dad or even other stuff that has happened, to help me to heal, to not hold that stuff against them and not be so easily offended. Because today people are wasting so much time and energy being offended. They're all sensitive because you looked at me a certain way or you didn't say hi to me first or
That's crazy.
Whatever. Like, it's so dumb. And we waste all of our precious time and energy being offended or being rejected. Wow. Right? So that lesson has positioned me to have an understanding of, like, when you talk to me a certain way and you're disrespectful or you're being toxic and you're doing things that are mean, that would offend me normally, right? Now, and because of this understanding that broken people break others, now I know that if you knew your value, if you accepted yourself, if you knew you had purpose, you wouldn't be talking to me like that. Wow. You wouldn't be treating me like that. So you know what that does for me? Now, instead of being hurt by you, I hurt for you.
Oh, wow.
Now I'm being all offended. Now I'm praying for you. now I'm moving from compassion rather than making it all about me and like, oh, he didn't talk to me.
Right.
We waste so much time and energy. So even though it was a bad experience with my dad, like that was a huge lesson for me.
There's a story that I share when I'm with a live audience, or I don't know if I shared it on any of my YouTube videos. I might have, but there's a story of there's this group of people that want to study identical twins. Ooh. Have you ever heard that story?
No.
And so they start interviewing different identical twins, and they go to this one twin that's in jail serving life, and they ask him, hey, how did you end up here? He says, what are you, stupid? Look at, my father was a drug addict and an alcoholic, and he used to beat up my mom, and he would come home and beat us up, and what did you expect, you boop, 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 right? And they go, well, thank you for the interview, and they leave, right? But then they go to this identical twin, and they ask him, how did you end up in this beautiful mansion, you know, being the company owner and having all this great success? He goes, well, you gotta look at my dad. He was an alcoholic and a drug addict, and he used to beat up my mom, and he says, I never want to be like that. And I can see that you're using the lesson not to be like, follow that path.
And to be honest, for a while, I started to.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that, because when we were sharing the story off the camera, he had me hooked. So he's going to have you hooked too. Check it out. Yeah, you grew up and I like the story, Richard, where you tell me you were 6 years old and you got he got his first job at the age of 6. Can you believe it?
Hustling,
yeah,
right?
You want to know how people get successful? You don't wait until you're 60. You start at 6. Tell us about that story, because it's going to lead to you making some not so good choices.
Yeah.
Something that...
Which is a part of growth.
It hurt, but right? Yeah, it's growth. It's growth. And you want to follow... you want to follow his story. You want to follow what he did. Go for it, Richard. Okay. 6 years old.
So I came from East LA,
right?
And La Puente and Monte. So now I'm more with my grandma. So my grandmother had 10 kids within 11 years. My mom was the oldest of the 10, so I'm the oldest grandchild. Oh. The youngest, my uncle, he's like 6 years older than I am. So we were more like brothers growing up. So I became the youngest of 11.
Oh, wow.
So my grandma saw me more like a son, and to the point where even all my aunts and uncles know that. And not only but I was also her favorite son. So I was at my grandma's house. She had 10 kids. So I'm being exposed to a lot very fast, because they're all older than me. You know, I'm in elementary, they're in high school. And so I'm being exposed to a lot very fast. And for me, when I was out in the streets, even with my dad, I learned how to shut up. Because if you say things, you get beat, right? Yeah. So I learned how to just kind of mind my mouth and observe. So out of fear, I started to become very timid and kind of an introvert and just kind of observant. So because of that, I was always just watching things and watching my uncles and aunts. And I think that was a big reason why I learned very fast, because they were knuckleheads too, and they would just get into things, into trouble and up to no good. And I mean, I even had like my uncle would take me, and I stole my first thing with him at the dairy.
Now everybody knows?
Yeah, now everybody. I paid back that dairy. But I remember I went and got a push pop and one of those G.I. Joes with the parachutes.
Where you throw it up. Yeah, you would throw it as high as you can.
Yes, man. So I was being exposed to that stuff, right? And I started just to do it more, and because I was just around that, and I didn't have any guidance. My dad wasn't around. The guidance I had was like my uncles and aunts, and they were young teens,
right?
You know,
doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at that point, I'm out in the streets. The only thing that really kept me in line, besides my mom being strict, she wasn't there a lot, but she would use intimidation, and her leverage was sports. Because I played baseball for 9 years, pitcher, catcher, shortstop.
Wow, those are hard.
I was all-star pitcher, all-star catcher, really good. I wrestled, played football, I played hockey. I used to do some street skating. Wow. So all these things, like I'm thankful that I did those things, because I was around a lot of drama, a lot of stuff, and that kind of kept me in, and that my mom was able to use. Like, if you don't get good grades or if you don't do this, you're not going to play. Yeah. And for me, I was like, I'm gonna freaking do my work.
wow.
I need to do it because that was all I had. So that's why that actually is what led me to starting to work.
At 6 years old.
Yeah.
So tell us what you did.
So I had my grandma's house was right here. Caddy corner was a man named Bob and his wife named Alice. And at that time, I'm like, what, 6, almost 7, and they're probably about 65, 70 years old and live in Caddy corner. So I would jump the fence and like they knew my family, right? But at some point I would jump the fence and then he started to be like, hey, you want to make some money? I was like, well, yeah, you know, I can buy candies, right? And I don't have to steal them. So, or buy more G.I. Joes. So I start to go and he gives me these rubber bands and newspapers and plastic bags and he says, all right, start to wrap them. We start to wrap them and he had like a whole like assembly of like, okay, we start to do it, and to the point where I guess promoted. You were telling me I didn't see it that way before because I didn't really even count what he would pay me. He would always pay me in this sandwich bag, a plastic bag that he would tie in a nut, and I hated, and I would just rip it open. But it was a big thing of coins. He had sometimes the dollar bill ones, but he had quarters, nickels, dimes, pennies.
Wow.
Just he would pay me that, and then he would give me pudding or an ice cream, and I was freaking happy. I was like, I'll be here tomorrow.
So you went from putting the rubber band on the newspaper to being promoted to what?
Promoted to now I'm going there in the morning. Like at 4 a.m. before I go to school.
Wow.
And getting in the back of his truck. I remember it was white and like a turquoise faded. I could still see it in my mind. And he would drive, I'll be in the back and I would rap and boom, start throwing. And I'm a baseball player already building up. Maybe that's why it was a good picture right there.
Now we know.
Got my curves and I liked it.
The dog on the street, andale, boom.
Yeah, 2 points. So I started doing that.
And making a connection, he's probably right. That's what caused
developed my arm.
Probably, throwing all day long.
I think so. So. And my accuracy, because I would hit the mat and try to land on the mat because I have this perfectionist thing.
And you're going at what, 10 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour?
I don't remember. I'm sure at first he would have to stop because I couldn't even reach, and I had to learn. But I learned, and I started getting faster. And so I remember sometimes when it would rain, you would have to kind of double wrap it with the plastic things, and that would take a little extra work. But it taught me. And then I started learning more, and I got some more skills, right? So now he's like, all right, well, cut my lawn, cut the grass. I was like, all right, how much are you gonna pay me for this, right? So now I'm learning. It's like an entrepreneur now. Now I'm learning. Okay, I do something, I give value, I service, and I get paid. This is cool. Okay, so then I'm like, all right, well, I started doing his lawn, and he would pay me, and then I got smart. I was like, can I borrow it?
Businessman.
All right, so I go to the neighbors, hey, can I do this for you? I'm doing this one too. And then then I'm cutting a few people's grass every weekend, every other weekend, and making some money. I would use that to get my equipment for my sports, or I would be the kid with money and I would buy stuff for my friends, and I just liked it. So then from there I went to cutting the grass, borrow the thing to go make money. Yeah. And then I started washing cars. Wow. And you know what? I connecting it now. I never thought about this. So I would go and cut the grass and probably dirty their cars. Cause I'm dusting and blowing and then I didn't even put this together. It's like I just created another need that I can solve. I'll wash that after I dirty it.
How old do you think you were at that time? Maybe if you were now 6, maybe 9,
like 8, 9 now.
Yeah,
8, 9.
Because I talked about a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and the kids. The two in the book that he talks about, they were about 9 years old. Hey, follow the pattern. 6 and then 9, he started his own business. That's awesome.
Yeah, I have both my kids. I have them in their businesses already now.
They own their businesses. Oh, yeah. How old are they?
They're 14.
And they're twins. That's right, boy and a girl.
Yep.
So then you go from there to what?
I get into washing cars, and at this point was pretty cool because I'm getting a little bit older, and the neighbors would let me park the car. I'm a little kid,
really?
And I would wash the car, and they would go ahead and just park it right there. Jeez. And I would park the car, and I know some of the stuff that I was doing. I'm like, how did they let me do this stuff? How did my mom let me go in the morning before this to go do that? That's pretty cool. I'm thankful. So from there, Oh, I forgot this one, sharing with you earlier. This is before an actual real job where like I'm an employee.
Yeah.
One more thing I started to do, I worked with my grandpa, my dad's dad, and he used to break up like sofas and restrip them and redo them. Like reupholstering, yeah. And so I started doing that for like 6 months, a year. And that was labor. That was intense because you're in a hot freaking thing and you have one tool and you're just breaking everything up and ripping it up and then they come and restore it. So I did that. And then at that point, I had a friend that was working at In-N-Out in Baldwin Park, and that's where I lived. That's where the first one is. So it's like a famous, store number one. And they have it like a landmark now, like a little museum that you can go, and they built a bigger one next to it, but they have that one still there that I worked at.
And I get to interview you.
See? So I went there because of friends, and they paid well, and it was good energy. Like I would just hear good things, but it would take care of their people. So I went there, and I did really well. And because I'm a hard worker, the only thing I was not good at that they really helped me, that I'm really thankful for In-N-Out for helping me with that, is smiling. Because they demand that you freaking smile. Every car, imagine like you have to, every car, they're on you. You have to greet it like right away within a few seconds. Hey, how you doing?
Wow.
Hey, how are you? How you doing tonight? I'll be right with. Like you have to. That was like one of the most important things.
So they gave you a smile.
Yeah, and for me, the way I grew up, I didn't smile.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't smile
at the beginning.
I was not warm. I was more defensive, and I learned how to kind of put this face on to keep people at a distance.
I think you need to show that. There you go.
I learned a mean face. It was a defense mechanism because I was scared of getting hurt, and so I kind of put this tough guy, exterior on so people can keep away, and it was just because I was scared.
So In-N-Out gave you that smile.
They
smile.
Yeah. Now it's crazy because I wouldn't smile. I wasn't affectionate. I wasn't open. None of that. And
I bet it
In-N-Out
some problems.
Broke. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. In relationships.
Of course.
Everything.
You didn't know it. But you said something really good. You said, I started working at In-N-Out because of my friends. So who you hang around with, because I talk about them in my videos, who you hang around with makes a big difference. It makes a huge world of a difference. Yeah. If you wouldn't have had those friends, who knows what you would have done?
Actually,
even though you actually did.
It gets there, yeah. I start to get influenced by that. Because
so you go to work for In-N-Out. I like that story. Share it with them. Because I think that's a phenomenal story.
Which part?
The one where you go in and you do the first initial whatever you do for In-N-Out.
Just how I grew.
And how you grew. I love that.
Growth.
One. Yeah, growth.
So I went in there, obviously not knowing anything, just getting the orders, and I start to learn how to do the fries, and I'm doing the cooking, and then I'm wrapping the burgers, and now I'm running the shift, and just learning how to do it, and then training other people. At that point, I went into the trucks that were driving everywhere, taking loads everywhere, and then I went into the trucks that do the cooking, that go to like schools and events, or like on set at night, like for movies and stuff, and you're serving the movie stars. That was pretty cool. And then I went into what's called being an all-star, where they open up stores and you go and you train the trainers and you build them up. So I would go and they would send me for weeks, pay me really well. And so I'm young, like 19. I have my house, with my uncle. We're paying the mortgage there, and
you had your house at 19?
19, 20, because it was my grandma's house. My mom was there, and around 8, I skipped some of this stuff, because around 18 I rebelled. I was doing really good. 18, I rebelled big time. I remember telling my mom, like, don't tell me what to do anymore.
Wow.
And I became my dad for a few years.
Wow.
So that was my rebellion part.
And you said something on the interview when we were talking out there, how you were so good at what you were doing at In-N-Out that you were only 16 and a half, and they wouldn't give you any more hours because you were too young.
The curfew, yeah.
Yeah, so you're like, you would just stay there because you wanted to work. And see, a lot of people don't understand that part. There's no such thing as something for nothing. And you gave quite a few years of your life to In-N-Out, but they compensated you well.
Oh yeah,
you went all the way to the top.
And I grew, and I ended up going into the university where they have a university, In-N-Out University, where they do their training, and they're really into training their managers and stuff. So that's where I actually started to get into where I'm doing now.
Oh.
It was a big shift for me because there now I'm thinking of coaching and training these managers. So now I'm writing curriculum into the training programs and, you know, sitting with managers and doing coaching and helping them to lead their teams. And so now I'm like, this is different. Oh. So this is where I start getting into my teaching and coaching career at that point.
That's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And now I know why you're so good too. Yeah, hey, you went to the
lots
university.
of practice.
And you know, they do have, I think In-N-Out is one of the best in the world. They're simple, they're to the point, keep it simple. They use the KISS method, keep it simple, silly. And they do a wonderful job, and you have all that in your memory bank.
Yeah.
You got all that training, and then to have the training and then train others that are already at the top.
Yep.
That must be pretty awesome.
Yeah, good experience for me to go through. That helped me to grow, accelerate my growth. Because of the tools there, and then all of a sudden I'm teaching others, which gives me more responsibility that I felt like, man, I better freaking know what I'm talking about. So I started to learn more because I felt more pressured to be in front of these people and know what the heck I'm saying.
And I know you didn't have it easy growing up with 10 older brothers and sisters, and then they're doing their stuff. You steal your first toy at an early age. You have a job, and then you make it a business at an early age. You're doing a lot. I mean, a lot of people don't pay attention, and maybe you were not paying attention, but going through their university and learning what you learn, and now teaching others what you were learning and going to the top. I think that's growth. That's phenomenal. There's this video that I watched on Instagram. I loved it, man. It was just so amazing. You and your family go around in a neighborhood, and I don't know what neighborhood, and you're passing out toys and candy, and
that was
kids
Compton.
are running. Compton?
That was Compton.
Oh, wow.
So
awesome.
That was with my wife, with Adriana's insurance. She always wants to give to the community. She's a big giver.
Oh yeah, giver.
Which is, that's why our purposes
so
are
awesome.
in alignment. So we went and built relationship with LAPD, and this is during like the quarantine time where nobody was allowed
early
out.
on.
Yeah,
okay.
Everything was shut down.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of people weren't having a Christmas. They weren't gathering. They weren't doing gifts. People weren't spending because they didn't know what was going to be going on. So there's a lot of fear, and you didn't feel like that Christmas spirit. Like you didn't feel that. Like so we partnered with LAPD and we bought a bunch of gifts and toys and food and all kinds of stuff.
So
and
cool.
They had this huge like a sleigh that they built.
Yeah.
And they drag it with the cop car. So we had like cops in front and back, and we had probably about 50 kids on bikes that were all lit up. And we did like a parade through Compton.
Yeah.
Singing with music, giving gifts. Like kids were coming out.
They were running happy. I saw it. It was so amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah.
And one of the, I think it comes back. Remember when you would throw your newspaper at the age of 6 or 7?
Here I am.
It follows you.
Yeah.
And you always throw a lot of good stuff into the planet. We're gonna get to it.
Nice.
And you're a giver, and you throw I saw you throw the candy and the toys, and the kids couldn't have enough. Oh, they're coming! Look at that! They were running. How did that feel, man?
Amazing. For me, like to be able to contribute.
Yeah.
I think it's a need
You do that a lot.
we all have, and if we're not doing it, I don't think we're gonna feel fully satisfied and fulfilled in our life until we find that where we know what we have and how we can give it and do it a lot.
No, my team is very awesome as far as they watch what I do, and one of the things that the main chief in command, Felix, he says, no, if you're gonna talk about a topic, you give it to them as much as you can. You let them have it. No holding back. And I'm like, yeah. And I watch your videos. You do the same thing. When you say you're gonna talk about something, you deliver. I love that about you. And one of the things, which you do, and we're gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna let you answer that one just yet.
Okay.
But you do say you want more. Go here. And it makes sense.
No tricks.
No tricks. This is what I'm going to tell you, and you deliver. I love it. And then you go, you want more? Well, here it is. But I just wanted to mention that video, man. That video, it touched my heart. It held me there, and I'm like, wow, that's cool. I said, I want to do that.
That's nice.
Yeah, I want to do that.
And that's what we were hoping, because that's why I went live to bring that, to inspire people. Like, hey, go give. Yeah, your level, whatever you can give. Yeah, in my mastermind class, every year we have to do something for the community.
but watching you do it and the way you did it with your family, it made it a nice, beautiful event.
It was. It really was.
This one's going to be fun for all the people that watch us and they love boxing. You know, I talk about boxing. This guy trained for many years in boxing, and I think there might have been a reason behind it. You grew up in a tough neighborhood, so we needed to just be ready, I guess. But I have a question. I have something that I want to ask you. It says you practiced like 12 years ago, right?
Yeah.
You've been practicing for 12 years, so that makes you pretty young. You deviated at one time. You thought you would go and fight.
Right in the beginning.
Of the world.
That's what I wanted. Like right in the beginning, when I was going into it, I was like, I really like this. I want to compete.
Yeah.
Right. So I started to train, started to spar with pros.
Yeah.
Which was intimidating, of course, because these guys freaking hit, right?
Game,
and you got to hit back, and you got to keep going. So I started getting to the point where I was really training hard for that, and then I found my calling in my life, and I didn't go for competing, but I still train. I still
awesome.
do it. Yeah.
And I'm gonna touch a little bit more on that because you told me you admired Tyson and the big ones like
the heavyweights.
The heavyweights. You loved the heavyweights
when there was.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think there still are. Okay. So anyway, but you heard your calling and you said, yeah, I want to continue for my physical, maybe help others train, but I'm not going to do it. I have something in me that says, no, I want to go this route instead. Yeah. So you followed that and you still with it?
I'm still doing it now. Yeah. So I'm all about giving. So now I'm, instead of, giving all these other things that I used to give, now I'm giving education.
That's awesome.
I'm giving empowerment. For me, like with my upbringing, because I got into my rebellion, I got into a lot of drugs, selling drugs, around gangs, or just in the streets, right? Wow. So for me, not having any guidance, my dad not being around, nobody there to be like, hey, like you're more than this. You're better than this. There's options. Yeah. For me, it was like my city that I lived in, that the people that I was with, my group, that was my world. I couldn't see outside of that. So there was no, oh, I want to go there, I want to grow. Like that, I didn't even know that was an opportunity. Yeah. So it wasn't until I started to be exposed to new things where I'm like, man, I can do more. I can do something.
And you're doing it.
I'm doing
it. Just to finish up the topic on boxing, you're about 5'9", I think 5'8", I don't know, 5'10".
5'10".
Yeah. So if you would have continued, you would have fought around 147, which means you would have had to fight Oscar de la Hoya or Fernando Vargas. You think you would have done it? You would have done it?
Right. Okay. Well, I have to be honest. Like, if you ask me right now, with my ability, capability, and what I've learned, like, no, that's gonna freaking scare me. I'm not gonna be like, get away, don't hit me. But I mean, if I would have stuck to it and trained, then heck yeah, I'm gonna train for that. I'm gonna freaking knock your head off. I'm gonna go in there for that.
So I think they're lucky you didn't continue.
You're lucky I didn't continue.
See, we gave you a chance. Oscar,
yeah, you're lucky.
Fernando, you're lucky. Pacquiao and all them.
No, don't tell them my name.
Just don't tell them Richard Martinez. No, but you're right. If you train for something, you're gonna go out there and do your best, just like you're doing now. You train trainers, and that's what you do, and you're one of the best out there, which is pretty awesome. And thank you for being here in our channel. Talking about growth, and to go from a 6-year-old to a 7-8-year-old starting his own business, that's pretty awesome. And then being at the top at one of the best companies in the world, In and Out, that's freaking amazing.
Training,
that's growth.
Now running 8 different busises, empowering other people to do their business, having a nonprofit, training centers, and impacting over 25 nations. Have orphanages.
He's jumping the gun, but okay, we'll get to it.
Like, it's amazing. It's growth.
Talk about growth.
I'm super thankful.
Yeah, and that's going to lead me what you're saying right now. You've been to Africa, and I only did a little bit of that. I didn't do much as far as learning more about your trip to Africa, but it turns out it's trips to Africa. Tell us about that, because you just started already anyway.
Sure. Let's see. This is how a whole different part of me was like birthed, literally. This is 2001. Like 2001, I was coming out of my rebellion stage, okay, where I was just doing. I mean, I've established myself before this. So I was working so much. I had my house, my car was doing well compared to the world that I was in. Right. So I was like, I made it. I had no clue, but I was like, I made it. I'm doing really well. But I didn't feel satisfied. I felt like there was more. And I'm looking around. I'm like, there's got to be more here. And then I had some friends who were inviting me to churches, right, and inviting me to meetings. And I was like, yeah, that's good for you, not for me. Like, go do your thing. They would ask me every once in a while. I would go to support them, and to be honest, I would be there, and I was, into partying at that time, and I would look in the audience. I saw you on the weekend. Don't try to pretend what you're, because I would see people that I would party with on the weekend there, and they were in worship.
Then go to church.
Yeah, and so like I had a bad, taste in my mouth because of that. Right. But at the same time, I would hear the messages, and I was like, sounds good, like love, relationships, the power, like forgiveness, sounds amazing, right? But where, how? Like I didn't get it. So I'm the type that's not gonna allow like what other people are doing or not doing or not believe to determine what I want to do and believe. So I went home, and I don't know where this came from. It sounds dumb every time I share this. It's like, who are you to say, I'll give you 2 months? Because I said, all right, God, if you're real, I'll give you 2 months of my life, and let's see if you're real. Let's see if you show up. And I did. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have anybody guiding me, telling me, this is the Bible, or this is what church is. I didn't know anything at all. I just started consuming.
But you gave him 2 months.
I consumed.
Yeah.
Anything I get my hands on. And it changed the way I thought.
So I want to highlight that because when you went out to the church at first, you're trying to get a grade for God, just looking at somebody else, instead of really looking at God or you. But you're like, no, well, that guy messes up and that one messes up and that one. So I guess God's got to be wrong. Mm-hmm. And then you realize, well, wait a minute, it's not them, it's going to be me. And God, if there is a God for me.
If there is, so let's make sure.
And I like the way, because it's about growth. I like the way you didn't just say, God, I'm going to give you 2 months. Let me sit back and see what you do. You said, let me go do what I can do in 2 months. Mm-hmm. So you read and you heard tapes back then.
I was drinking. Tapes. I was smoking. I was doing, and I stopped everything.
For 2 months?
I stopped after that. I was going to do it for 2 months.
2 months you stopped, and you're using drugs and whatever. And
I just went to pure.
So for 2 months?
I went pure, yeah.
And then after that, it just continued?
And that 2 months dramatically changed my life, where people were like, what the heck, who are you now? And to the point where, look, you didn't hear this part either.
Okay.
So now I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you now.
Oh, no!
Because this is where my speaking career started. This is how I started getting introduced to, over 25 nations now. This is what opened up so much for me. Because I give them the 2 months, right? And my life gets changed, where I'm like, man, what's next? I got to change something else now. At this point, I was living with the girl, and we would sleep together, and then that didn't match what I was trying to do here. So I'm like, well, then we got to get married. And I proposed. We got married. We did a wedding we planned it in a month.
Man,
we had like 20 people.
Well, you started at 6 years old working. I don't blame you. In a month shouldn't be a problem.
But it was like 15, 17 people, including me here and the pastor. It was like very small, beautiful. But look, this is a month later. So this is 3 months into me. I want to do something.
Wow.
Okay. And then I fly to Reading, where we know somebody that knows a pastor, and because I didn't know what to do or where to go, what's next. So I remember sitting in the living room, this pastor and his wife. So what do I do next? Because I thought they were supposed to have the answers. And they're like, what do you mean? Well, I went to church, I'm learning now. I don't know what you guys call this, born again thing or something. I don't know what this is, but I believe in God now. So now what? What do you mean now what? What do you want to do? Well, I don't know. That's why I came to ask. Like, what's next? What? And they're like, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to help people. And I said, well, what if I start a church? And then they're like, well, no one's going to stop you. So I flew home and started a church in my house.
No way. How old?
This is 3 months into, I don't know.
And how old were you?
This is 2002 now. So I'm like 23, 24.
Wow.
So I started church in my home, and I invite friends and family, and I have like 20, 30 people there. And I think they were just more like, you're doing what?
What happened to this guy?
You're doing what? This is a joke. Let's go see this guy. Let's go see it. And they show up, and some left and some stayed, and I kept freaking doing it. And I didn't know what I was doing. So this is what I would do. I would go and buy a tape, right? And I would, everybody would sit in a circle, kind of like this, like 20 people in my living room. And I would put the tape in. Well, we would pray. I would put the tape in. We would listen to it. We would stop it. We would talk about it. And then we would pray and then leave.
Oh, wow.
That's what I did at first, because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Then I started to listen to the tape, and then I would teach for 5 minutes, and then play the tape, and then 10 minutes. And then I would create my own teaching. And then I didn't need the tape anymore.
That is so awesome.
And I would read, and it was so sad. I would be reading, and I would stutter. I freaking hated it. Like, I avoided public speaking in school. I would take a 0, I hated it. I would sweat and stutter. And people would feel so bad. Like, I'm going to read it for you? No. Leave me alone. I'm going to freaking read it. I'm in church. and I would do it. And I would sweat like a lot. And I would keep doing it. And I got to the point where I got real comfortable. And marriages started coming to me with big problems.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know anything.
Wow.
So I think God was just like, I better help him or he's going to just jack some people up. And he just gave me wisdom, because I wasn't asking, I was just going. And I just, now I have this wisdom on me, and I learn very fast.
So I just want to highlight something for our people that are watching. You know, when he said he was going to be committed for those 2 months, like I said earlier, you didn't just sit back. You started doing it. So people, if people out here in our audience get committed to whatever they want to be committed to, losing weight, better relationship, taking trips, starting a business, get committed and know how long your commitment is going to be. We have a video that talks about beginning and end. Watch that video. And it talks about what he's saying. He gets committed for that 2 months, and now it's 3 years. Now he starts a church, and it keeps on going. That's why this video is about growth.
And this is where I get invited to Africa. This is where...
Oh, okay, go for it then.
Yeah.
Let me know.
This is where it opened up everything.
Yeah,
this is where it opened up everything. Because I was just sharing that part, because that's kind of like the context of like how, you know? Because now I'm there. Now I have people coming in, and I have somebody who invites me to Africa. And I was like, I've never freaking traveled anywhere. Like, wow, Africa? So I go. And when I get there, you know, it's crazy. I go there, and they have a conference there, and they have leaders from different places. And I didn't expect I was going to do anything there. I just thought I was get to go to Africa. And then they asked me to go and share on stage. And I was like, no, me, public speaking. You know, I'm barely getting used to a little group, and you want me to be in here. I was like 500 people there. Oh. And from like different nations. These are leaders of leaders.
Wow.
So I was like, nah, I'm good. And they're like, just share like 10 minutes. Like, just share what you're doing, because we don't hear of people doing what you're doing that fast. It doesn't make any sense. So you just share that, and it'll be really powerful. Okay. So I go on and I get on stage, right? First time over there. I don't know the culture. So I'm really open and honest. And I guess they weren't used to that.
Oh, wow.
So when they have people coming from America, they call you Mazungu. You're a rich white person. Even though I'm not white.
Mazungu?
Mazungu.
I can't wait to go over there.
Even though I'm not white, like if you're from here, you're Mazungu, period.
Mazungu.
Yeah. So you'll be driving, Mazungu, because you stand out here. Some of these people don't ever see this skin where
wow.
the kids will go like,
wow,
like it's going to smear on you.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I go there, and I'm going to share, and I start just to share openly how I grew up and how I got there. And I'm very vulnerable and intimate. I believe there's power in intimacy. Intimacy is into me, you see.
That's right.
Into me, you see, let me see into you. So I'm sharing openly, and then the older man, the elder, okay, the one with the white hair, stands up and interrupts me and stops me. Excuse me. And I'm like, I don't know if you can curse on here, but I'm like, oh, shit. To be honest, and yes, I was at a church. And I'm on stage, I'm like, oh, shit, what did I do wrong? And he stands up and he said, and he looked around, I'm like, oh man, what's gonna happen? I don't know what's happening. And he's like, I don't know what's happening here, but I've never seen this before. And I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about. He's like, I just feel the urge to have to say something. I don't know, I just have to say it. I've been lying to my wife.
Oh.
And I've been stealing money and using it for this and this and this, and I can't live with it anymore. So, and he turns and his wife is right here.
Oh.
And he stands her up and looks at her and he starts confessing to her.
Wow. That's impressive.
I don't know why.
Wow.
She starts crying, he's crying, they start to, and then another person stands up.
Oh.
And then another one. And another one. And like right now I'm getting the chills. Like it was.
Well, I would too.
My leaders came up to me after and I was like, what was that? And they're like, we don't know.
Wow.
People don't do that here.
Whoa.
That was, I don't know what that was. So because of that, all those leaders came to me and said, come to my nation.
Wow.
Come to my nation. So that opened up like 15, 20 nations like that, where I start going. And this has been, it's been 17 years now, or almost 17 years, but for 15 years I was going and I had to build teams there, and it was hard from long distance, and they would take advantage, they would steal, they would lie. But after all these years, now I have a powerful core team there that are running my training centers. There's 8 different ones that are going on every month, orphanage, water well project, and people are just being trained. And it's just like a machine now. It's amazing.
How do you like that for growth, huh?
Growth.
Amazing. Yeah, so follow the story. I mean, 6 years old, starts working. 7 or 8, starts his own business. 16, no, a little bit younger than 16 at
the In and Out. Yep.
Grows all the way to the top, growth. And then doing some stupidity.
Yeah, rebels.
Decides to
learn
go
the
to
hard
church
way.
and you know what, I'm going to give you 2 months, not realizing that he had to give himself 2 months for growth, only to make a big difference to nations.
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing, man.
Amazing.
That's growth.
It's growth.
And what I love about your videos, because I like watching you, is on Instagram, your tenacity, your consistency, the way you give to the community with no holding back, and you do deliver, and you do say, if you want more, go here. What do you want to share about your videos? Because when I was watching you, I go, this guy's, well, I'm like him. I like to deliver.
Yeah.
And you're constant. How do you do that?
My
team can't get me to do that.
I have a trick. I'm gonna share the trick, and it can add a lot of value to
for you guys and for me. Okay, here we go.
Because for me, I mean, I have a family. I'm married. I have kids.
Yeah.
I'm running 8 different businesses from one office, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on. So I understand that it's not easy. So for me, balancing all these things and being an educator, right? Especially being on social media, you have to put it out there and be consistent. Otherwise, look, this is why. Okay, because you want to have impact like me.
Yes.
Okay, so this is how you get them to make a change, right? You got to speak on what's important to him. So you want to have impact to change. So in order to do that, you have to be consistent with your content. Otherwise, your fans your followers will never become fans. So you'll get your content in front of people, especially with you have freaking gold.
Thank you, man.
You have treasure, man. So we need to get that in front of more people. So you get them in front of people, and they're like, oh, this guy's pretty cool, he has some good energy, nice smile, good content. So what do? They go and they push follow, right? But they're not a fan yet. So right now, like if they see your content, cool. If they don't, cool, right? So hopefully they do. But when you have content that's consistent, right? When you have content that has good energy, if you're bringing every piece of content and you have good energy, and your content is something that has clear takeaways that they can use right away. Yeah. And if your content is consistent, it's going to be shareable. It's going to be something that they're going to become a fan, because now when they come to your page, they're like, dang, he doesn't stop. He's posting this every day. Now they're going to transition into a fan, where now they're not going to wait to see it. They're going to go look for you.
Oh.
What the heck? I didn't see his post today. Let me go see what he posted. Now you got a fan, and that's because you have this good content on there. So this is the magic right here. Ready?
Yeah.
So, man, this made it so easy for me, easier anyways. Especially like this right here.
Yeah.
This is all you have to do. Okay.
Right.
If you meet with your team.
Yeah.
For an hour and a half tops.
Yeah.
You can get content for the whole month.
Whoa. Whole month?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is actually part of one of my businesses of what I offer people.
Oh wow.
But I teach people so that they don't have to
That's
hire
it.
me.
I'm gonna go hot.
You don't have to hire me. I'm gonna teach you how to do it.
All right.
You can do it yourself, and they can do it. You don't have to hire me. Just,
Team, get ready.
remember, like you even said, I like how you just give it.
Yeah, and you do it so beautiful, and I see your energy, and I see the way you're delivering, and they're beautiful topics like relationships, like making things happen, keeping your physical self active.
Yes.
I go, man, you have. When I'm watching, I go, how does he do this? So much energy.
This is how. You have the energy.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, you have the good content.
Yeah, thanks.
And you just need the consistency.
Yeah, that's
so you're missing it.
Yeah, he's got me. He's got
missing
me.
this. But this is gonna change not just like this production of what you're putting out there, but man, the impact. Yeah. Because look, 1 hour, 2 hours tops. Okay, so get one of your topics. Let's say you have a topic of overcoming fear, right? And you have to overcome this fear. So you start to write down all like the main problems that people deal with fear and put it into a question.
We have a lot of fear right now.
Oh man, people are in fear because of what they don't know.
Right.
Right, because they need the understanding, the clarity. When they have the clarity, even though they haven't been there before, once they have some kind of clarity, like they can have enough courage with the fear to go take some action and not just be frozen. You know. So with the system, I call it the Brand Buddy Show system. The Brand Buddy 60-second show. That's what I call it.
60 seconds.
60-second show. Okay. Because the post is 60 seconds. After 60 seconds on Instagram, it becomes a long form video, and you can't boost it. It's just you want it 60 seconds.
Okay.
So this is what you do. You write down 20 to 50 questions that are around that topic of overcoming fear. What are the main pain points that people are dealing with? The things that are limiting them. Like get down, but put them into question form, because this is going to be for your interview.
I see.
So now you get a camera like this, put it right in front of you. So you're like, boom, you get right in front of it, right? Get right in front of it. Yeah. And then you have your team on the other side reading you your questions. They say, all right, Frank, they ask you your question and then you answer it. So now it's just a conversation. So you talk for like an hour, 2 hours, you're done. Now your team goes back to this. They edit it into at least 15 60-second shows from that content, right?
That's so
and then
cool.
You pull a quote from those and you make a post with a quote on it, and you put your colors for your brand and so everything has a good look and feel. But if you do that right there, and within a couple more hours, your team can cut it up, schedule it, post it, put the tags, put the captions, walk away.
Okay, team, you have a new job.
Walk away.
I get to talk. You guys have a lot of work.
All that content that you see on my Instagram. I do it enough for 3 months.
Wow.
I sit down for a few hours. I go through all. They record me.
But then I see you everywhere. I see you at your businesses, and then I see you at the park. I see you looking at a trash collector. You make you make everything work. You gotta get rid of your trash, just like that guy over there. See,
because I'm filming. No, it always happens. I'm filming. I'm getting into it, and a freaking big trash truck comes up right here. I'm like, really? But you know what? That's life.
I would have been like, excuse me, I'm filming. Can you please cut? Like our team, we go quiet on the set.
Yeah.
For you, it's like, let it go.
Well, that's good to have that, but when it does, like, why are you gonna let it bother you?
You don't let it bother you. You work with it. I've seen you work with it. It's pretty awesome the way you work.
Don't panic. Just pivot. Just pivot. Just change it. Come on. Just keep going.
And you do it right in front of the camera, and it's not like you cut and paste or any of that. I see the whole thing. I think he's gonna mess up.
Just go with it.
Cool.
It's funny, but it's a really good system that will help, and I think it'll help your audience.
You know what? They're taking notes, so we're gonna do it because the main chief in command, Felix, he wants me to get out there and do the consistency and to do the follow up. And he says, "Look, you're doing so good. Thank you to you guys. Thank you for watching the channel. We're gonna do more of this, and it's gonna get better. I mean." They're training me to be better, so it's gonna happen. He's training me to get better. It's gotta happen. I have a lot. We have a lot of great information in our channel, and that's why you're following us. That's why you subscribed, and it's only going to get better. And now with Instagram, I think I'm going to go out there, do the 2 hours, let them do the work. I'll do my end. They're going to have to do their end.
That's teamwork,
and it's going to be beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see
it's not over because I
can't wait to see it.
I have some juicy questions.
Let's bring it.
Okay, so your consistency, I like that. Now, I know you've already answered this one. What motivates you? And you said giving. And you know, a lot of us, I want to thank Cheryl Chang, because that lady contributed to my life. When I got here to the United States, my mother brought me when I was 7 years old. She brought all of us. So I didn't know how to speak English. And the very first teacher that I got, her name is Miss McBreen. Hopefully she's still around. And she was
If you see this, comment.
Please, Miss McBreen.
Man, that's amazing.
Miss McBreen, she had beautiful black hair and white skin. She was beautiful. I looked up to her. I thought she was an angel. And she was so kind to me. I didn't understand her. She would give the lesson, and then she couldn't understand me and I couldn't understand her. My first word, I think, from Miss McBreen, puzzle. Because she would finish the lesson and she would go, puzzle. So later on, I learned it. She would talk and I would just be like, wow.
Waiting for the
puzzle. And then she'd come, I go, puzzle. And right there and then I said, I want to be a teacher. I want to grow up to be like this guardian angel, and I want to teach others. And I want to be patient, and I want to be like, I want to make it fun.
Wow.
And I didn't know how to speak English. So I started falling behind in my reading. In my writing, forget about it. It was like, so I deviated so much, I said, my dream will never come true. And this is where you're going to come in, because Cheryl Chang said, I want you to take this class. It's a personal growth class. And I said, I don't know. And we all make up stories. And Cheryl Chang, I said, well, they're smart. Asians are smart. I'm not smart. Why is she inviting me? And she invited me to this class called PSI. And she paid the ticket. She paid $350. 33 years ago. It was a lot of money.
Wow.
A lot of money. And I said, no, Cheryl Chang, please don't do that. She says, yes, you have the time and you can pay me later. And I said, it's going to take me years. She said, how many years? And I said, well, 20 or something like that. She says, take 20 years.
Wow.
And I said, there's got to be something there. And then she followed up with a phone call. Remember, tomorrow's your seminar. And I went, and even though I was a high school dropout walking in, when I left, I knew for certain, 100% certainty, I would become a teacher. Wow. And it took me 10 years to get a bachelor's degree, but I kept that in my mind. And I know that those personal growth seminars are so awesome. And that's what you do. And you're doing something great, because you probably get that kid, Frank Iñiguez, coming in as a high school dropout, leaving knowing that they're going to get the degree or the business or the travel or the physical, whatever. And tell us about that. I wanted to save that one till the end, because I think it's about growth. And this guy has gone through everything. He's only 39 years old, and he went from starting his first job at 6, then starting his business at 9, like Robert Kiyosaki in the book Think and Grow Rich. Rich Dad Poor Dad. Think and Grow Rich. All of you know that it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So then goes into In and Out, becomes the top guy for training. Goes to church, starts a church, goes to Africa, helps leaders, and here he is. And now tell us about your company.
So now it's called Now Rise. So that's the umbrella of different things. So about 7 years ago, this is where I met my wife, and I was actually her life coach for 2 years.
Oh wow!
And then we started to build a relationship, because we just saw our passion to help people.
Wow.
So I actually took her to Africa with me, and then she fell in love with what I was doing and was like, wow, I want in. So then she started her program for the women there. So we just got all in. So from there, I'm focusing on building leaders in government, arts and entertainment, education, business, family, and religion. So for my personal vision, that's my personal vision, right? And I want to transform nations. So I do that one person at a time, empowering them, impacting them, showing them how to master their life, and then they start to, the ripple effect.
Right.
So that's why I do, I write the books, I do training courses. So we have an academy, an online academy. It's called the Rise Academy. We have Now Rise Business. That's more of, we deal with businesses and help them to build their sales teams, HR, customer service, marketing, everything, right?
Uh-huh.
Then we have the Now Rise Foundation, and that's when we do all the nonprofit stuff. So it's an umbrella of these different, then we have Now Rise Financial Services, where we help families to make and save money. We give people an opportunity to build a business with us. They partner with us, and they can make, even part-time, some of these people are making $4,000 or $5,000 a month part-time. It's a side hustle. Yeah,
that is so awesome.
It's amazing. So all this to help with the community. My wife and I have been very blessed to where we have financial freedom. And for me, financial freedom is where you work because you want to, not because you have to.
Right.
And it's a beautiful thing. So now my goal is to help people to create that for themselves and for their families, to master their lives personally and to build that, because I think we all can and we all deserve that. We just need to know how.
That's so awesome. There's I'm part of a organization that also does personal growth, and I open up the class, a 3-day class called SEPA. And one of the charts that I write down talks about content and context, and 3 words and I tell the audience there are 3 words that are going to keep us together, and one of them is being responsible for yourself and others, and then capable and contributing. Ooh. And I'm listening to you, and it's like, you are responsible for what you have created, and you are capable of creating everything that you said you wanted to create. And the last one is the one that touches me: contributing. You got it. You could just sit at your house and do nothing if you wanted to, but instead, let me contribute. And when I teach that chart to the audience, I tell them, you're going to get the house, you're probably going to get the money, the trips, everything's going to be cool. But when you're finally there, and people are reading your eulogy, when they're saying, I met this guy, and he contributed A, B, and C.
What's that little dash represent? Right? It's crazy, that little dash represents what you really did in your life, not those 2 end numbers.
And I like the way you went from, doing all the stupidity to realizing, hey, that's not the way to go. I want to contribute something different. And even though you were contributing stupidity back then, you said, I can make it different. And you did make it different. And you committed. You said, I'm going to commit. I'm going to give you 2 months. But you did give yourself those 2 months. People, many times say, I'm going to change my body. I want to have a better physique. But they're not willing to give themselves those 2 months or those 3 months. They want something for nothing. And that's one of the things that we also teach. There is no such thing as something for nothing. And I'm sure your program, and we're going to talk about this book too, your program probably says something similar, if not the same. There's no such thing as something for nothing.
No, it takes work.
A lot of work.
Anything.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. Everybody thinks you just wish it and you get it. No, it's a lot of work. If they were to film you, if we were to go back and film, you shared the story already. Let's film Richard Martinez. Let me see. Oh, shoot. Look at his dad. Look at his mom. Look at the way he sleeps. Look, he's drunk at the age of 6. But then we got to look at the picture. Beautiful movie. Look at him. Decides to go make some money. Look at his bag of money. And then you could have just said, I don't want to work. No, thank you. But instead, what's next? Let me borrow your lawnmower. Let me start my own business. And here you are, man. That's beautiful. So you have the RISE program.
Yes.
And then you also created this. Go for it. Tell us about it.
I have different books, and it's all about growth.
Oh, let me tell them about this one. This one's coming up.
Yeah.
Follow him on Instagram. Find out when it comes out. Buy it.
So this is on. So overall, for me, especially with my vision to transform nations.
Right.
I want to help people to master their life overall. That's why I have the life mastery system. So it's a system to master your life. So for an example, this one's in Spanish, but I have them in both. But right here in the beginning, you'll see this chart where I have 10 areas of your life. Here it is.
What page?
Right here.
So you show it to them. I'm gonna see it.
So these
here,
are like 10. These are like 10 areas of your life, right? So this is about life mastery. So when I say life mastery, it doesn't mean like, oh, everything's perfect and you arrived, you made it, you're successful, you're good. It doesn't mean that. For me, life mastery is consistent progression. And for me, success is not like, okay, once I get there, because a lot of times people have the wrong perspective, a wrong definition, a wrong belief, and it just messes them up. So a lot of times people have this, they don't even have a defined or definition or a target of what success is for them. Right. So because of that, they never hit it because they don't.
If you don't know where you're going, you can't get it. Right.
They don't know, and they're comparing it to other people. But what is it for them? So they're always like, okay, once I get that house, or once I get that car, once I build that business, once I get there, and then I'm successful. So people are working they're working for success rather than from it. Rather than knowing who you are and accepting who you are, knowing your purpose, being successful here, and your inward reality will define your outward reality. But it starts here. So it starts with like, okay, you got to believe that you can master it. And what does mastery mean? That you're just growing. You're moving forward. Because if you're not growing, you're either dead or you're dying.
That's right.
If your relationship is not growing,
it's decaying.
It's either dead or it's dying.
Right.
Your career, so growth it means that it's alive. Not only that, but when we're growing, like you guys know, like when you're growing, when you're moving forward, when your relationship is good, when you're going to work out and you're working out and you're eating right, when you're advancing in that area, in your career and your business, when you're doing the freaking work and you're getting the results, that freaking feels amazing.
That's right.
It feels good. Your self-esteem, your self-worth, everything goes up. Like it feels amazing because you're moving forward. It actually produces happiness. So growth produces happiness. So if you're not growing, you're leaving happiness on the table. And what is life about? Like if you're not happy, like why are you doing it? So for me, it's about life mastery, meaning, hey, let me help you to have a system that makes it easy for you to keep growing. Not perfection, because I want you to enjoy the process and not be like, okay, once I get there, then I'll be happy.
No, work every day.
Work from happiness.
That's right.
Not for it.
That's right.
So that's what this is about. This is a whole system that helps you to kill procrastination, time management, which I don't believe, it's self-management.
That's right. You said that in one of your videos.
Yeah, I don't believe it. So this helps you to make sure that you're being consistent in your growth in all the most important areas of your life. That's why it's life mastery. Yeah, it's an agenda. It keeps track of all your days. You measure. Let me just share one thing, because I don't want to spend too much time on this.
Sure, no problem.
But one of the things that, if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. If you can't manage it, you can't grow it. We're talking about growth.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't manage it, you can't grow it, and you can't manage it if you're not measuring. That's right. So this whole system is measuring your growth, and that way, as soon as you see your numbers drop, you're not waiting for a crisis to make a change. You're seeing them change, like those numbers drop right away, and you make the change right away. So here, this is what I mean by it. So at the end of the day, so there is the morning intentions. This is one day. This is one day. Morning, evening. Right here is the time slots, right? So at the end of the day, I'm going to rate myself on a scale of 1 to 5. I'm going to get a pin. Can you see that pin? Yeah, sure. I'm just going to circle 1 to 5. So how is my emotional stability? How was it today? How was my energy today? How was my clarity of mind? How was my productivity? So I'm going to scale myself on a scale of 1 to 5 here. I'm just going to circle it.
Right.
Now here, how much water did I drink today?
Right.
And if you don't know what it means, I have a glossary here that you go to the back. It defines how much water you should drink. Oh. Right? Men at least 3 liters a day. Women at least 2 liters a day. If it's hot, more. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how much water did you drink today? How about your exercise? How about your foods? How about your passion? How about your relationships? How about your smile?
Wow.
How did you do on a scale of 1 to 5 today? Now this is the powerful part. So if I come today and I start rating myself, and I'm like, okay, how was my energy today? Oh, it was like a 3. It wasn't too good. All right, my clarity, my productivity, and I'm seeing my numbers. I'm like, why am I at a 3? It's really powerful. It's really valuable to know why, right?
That's right.
So all I do is go back a couple pages, and wherever my numbers drop here, in my water intake, in my exercise, in my passion, wherever my numbers drop here, a couple days later, my numbers will drop here.
Wow.
My productivity, my clarity, my emotional stability, my numbers will
makes
drop.
Sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
So now I don't have to wait for crisis, for big things to get my attention. Like, oh, I better do something here. Yeah. You know, so that's why it helps you to have consistent growth of life mastery in every area of your life. Because after 7 days, you come up with that thing again, with that 10 areas, and you rate yourself and you get clear again.
Yeah, the thing. I wanted to read them to see what it was.
At the end, there's tools. Tools.
Okay.
How to communicate and connect with anybody. How to read personalities. Once you read the personality, what words to use.
Oh, wow.
How to approach them. Body language. How to identify. And when you know how to identify a personality and you can talk to anybody, you can use this for sales, for your marriage, for your parenting. Yeah. This makes you powerful. How to effective conflict resolution.
Talk about growth. There it is.
Powerful. So this is all about growth. So when it comes to growth, I'll wrap this up with a takeaway.
All right.
Okay. So when it comes to growth, I teach growth under 3 main concepts: to know, to do, to be. To know, to do, to be. This is like the universal growth process. Everybody has to go through this for growth. So first level is, first you need to know, right? Any area that you want to grow in. So if you pick, your finances or your relationships or your health. Okay, first you got to get clarity. You got to know what it is that you want there.
Correct.
Right? Catch a vision. Right. What is your goals there? What is your targets? How are you going to get there? What is your system? What are the action plans? When are you going to do it by? Who are you going to do it with? How are you going to measure? All this is getting clarity of exactly what you're going to get, how you're going to get there, who you're going to go there with, when you're going to get there by. It's clarity to know. Right? So now I know, now I got my plan, I have my action steps. Okay, now what do I need to do?
Action.
I need to do, right? Yeah. So I know this, now I need to freaking do it, take action, right? So now I'm building my capability, I'm building my muscle memory, I'm building my character, I'm building my self-belief because I'm doing it. I start to adjust, start to read books on it, start to do things. Now I'm accelerating my growth process in this phase of the doing. Right? Because then once you integrate these things that you're learning, like all these things that you teach that I'm teaching, when you guys start to integrate this into your lifestyle, like over and over every day on a consistent basis, you go from doing it to like when you're trying, like you haven't done this before, so you got to try, right? It's an effort. You got to remind yourself. You got to, motivate yourself to get it done because it's new. Right? But once you keep doing that over and over, it becomes a part of who you are. It gets integrated into who you are. So now you're not to know, to do, now it's to be. You're becoming it. You don't have to try it anymore. You don't have to try to remember it. So like if I'm learning emotional intelligence, and if I'm defensive and I'm reactive normally, and I want to grow there, right? First I need to know why I'm so defensive. Why do I? Because you're like, oh well, Frank, because you just push my buttons. Why do I have buttons in the first place?
That's right.
I need to get rid of my freaking buttons, right? So I need to know what are my buttons. I need to know. I need to have clarity. Why am I defensive? Why am I reactive? Why do I get angry? Why? Clarity. And then once I understand that, when I have understanding, knowing what is under my standing, what I stand on, where I'm coming from, why I'm acting this way, now I begin to do something differently. I start to make some shifts, mind shifts, habit shifts, and it becomes a part of in my life so much to where I'm not trying to do it anymore. Next time somebody pushes that button, I've gone through this process where I'm not trying to bite my tongue right now. And after, when I walk away, and then I realize, wow, I didn't react, I didn't even budge, that's amazing. That's real transformation. That's where you get the highest benefits of your change, when you're really being it. You're not trying anymore, you're really becoming it. So for me, that's what it is: to know, to do, to be. Growth.
Going back to boxing, because when I'm on stage, I use a lot of boxing. And when kids come in to be the champion of the world, and the manager or the trainer tells them, I want you to go do some jump rope. At first, they can't even jump the rope.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, now do the double or do the triple.
Yeah.
And they don't even know how to hold the jump rope. Mm-hmm. And I use boxing analogy because it's so awesome. My cousin, Eddie Chinito Contreras, champion of the state of California.
Nice.
He came out of Oxnard with Robert Grandpa Garcia, champion of the world, and then Fernando Vargas. All of them in the same gym.
Wow.
Fernando Vargas. And I use boxing analogy because everything that you said is what a boxer does. When the boxer first comes into it, well, he knows he wants to be a boxer,
Sure.
right? But he's got to train like a boxer.
Yeah.
And then once they get the robe, they get the, what do they call that little ball on top?
The speed bag? Yeah.
The speed bag, then the punching bag,
Yep.
then shadow boxing, then get into the ring and do it. What a boxer does, when they finally step up to be a professional boxer, they already know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're not jumping the rope. They're not hitting the speed bag.
It's instinct now.
And now it's fast.
Yeah.
It goes really quick.
Yep.
And
just like tying your shoe. You know, at first you're like, I don't know how to tie. You're tying knots, and then somebody shows you. You get one ear and another bunny ear, and the next thing you know, you're talking.
And you're doing.
And you're,
and that's for when I use the boxer analogy, because when my trainings, I tell them, if you don't train your body, it doesn't know what to do. But if you train your body and your mind to be aligned, it's going to be easy. And that's what you're saying. And he said it so beautiful. I mean, the way he put it together, it's pretty amazing. Hey, growth. And I tell them, once you get into the habit of doing things, I in my class, my mastermind class, another one that I teach that's a year long, I tell them, take care of yourself. First thing you have to do in the morning, if you want to, is drink a glass of water.
Yes.
So you get up, go to the kitchen, get a glass of water.
Yes.
And I tell them, easy to do, easy not to do. Watch yourself. Because Napoleon Hill, one of my favorite authors of all time, he says, 2 things to hold a human being from accomplishing things. And I'm like, wow. And I work off of those. Indifference, I don't care.
Oh, that's dangerous.
And laziness.
Oh, that's annoying.
So I tell them, if you don't watch out for those 2, you could be a whole year in my class, nothing's going to happen.
Nope.
Laziness and indifference. And I tell them, it's going to be like Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. Easy things. I make it so easy. Yeah, I make it so simple so they can see themselves. Why didn't you do it? Laziness or indifference.
I love it.
Laziness or indifference.
So you make it so easy. I mean, simple. You take away other excuses. So
there's nothing to do. I mean, if you cannot get up, you're here to make $1 million. You're here to start a business. You're here to have a better body. You're here to have a better relationship. Can you do the easy things? Because we're not going to be able to get to the big things if you can't do the little things.
Boom.
And at the end of the day, I tell them, have a glass of water. So before you go to sleep, have a glass of water. Really? Wax on, wax off. Do it or not. And so I have 7 disciplines that I work with. One of them being drinking water.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I tell them, you're going to have a lot of energy if you drink water.
Yeah, your mind is sharper. You have better ideas.
Yeah, so, but I want to finish it with you and the RISE programs. This one looks
something I brought extra one of these planners. I have them in English and Spanish.
Oh, cool.
I want to leave them here to give. I don't know if you guys want like your first 10 comments or whatever. You can give them a planner. And then I also
you have it.
I also have a course, free course that I want to give on relationships, and then another one on how to get unstuck.
Oh wow, those are pretty awesome, and they're gonna follow up on putting the link and all that.
Sure. Okay.
Oh, that's so awesome. See, we get to have them here plus giving again.
Gotta bring gifts.
But this time you're giving good stuff,
Yeah.
excellent
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. And do follow him on Instagram. They're gonna put it there for you to follow him. And when this book comes out, he has it in English and Spanish. Get it. One time I'm out talking about my book, and I met Mark Victor Hansen, the guy from Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I go up to him and I go, hey Mark, so what do you think of my book? He went like this. It feels great. It feels really great. I think you're going to do great. And I go, why, thank you. So you know what?
It feels great.
Yeah, it feels great. He goes, this book feels really good. I think you're going to do great. And I go, thank you, Mark.
I'll take it.
Yeah. So we took a picture together. I made it a big frame because I admire that guy.
Wow.
A lot. Chicken Soup for the Soul. So you know what? This feels great.
I'll take it.
Get it!
I'll take it.
You know what? In both English and Spanish, just like our channel, both everything English and Spanish.
Yep.
We're going to do something with this video so our Spanish audience gets to see it. But you know what? Just like Mark Victor Hansen said to me, it feels great, man.
It feels great.
Awesome. They're going to put a link there too, I'm sure.
We'll share with you guys.
So you gave us a lot of time. I mean, it feels so quick, the interview. I think we got a good picture of growth through Richard Martinez. Amazing, beautiful story.
Thank you.
Everything's just so beautiful. So, I mean, and people think when we're on stage, I'm sure it happens for you too. People think that somebody rolled out the red carpet and said, here you go, have it.
Yeah.
People many times want to live my story. I'm sure they want to live your story. When I'm on stage, I like to be a funny guy.
Sure.
And I get serious, and then I get, come on.
Take them on a roller coaster.
Yeah, roller coaster.
Uh-huh.
And people say, hey, Frank, I want to be like you. I go, really?
Yeah, you sure you know what you're asking?
Then you got to get up and drink some water every morning.
Yeah, let's start there. Let's start there.
Like, really? Yeah. So people want the beautiful story, you know, live in the nice house, drive the nice car, catch a flight, go to another country. But when it has to do with work, they don't want to do the work. So guys, you want growth, you have to do the work.
It's the seeds. Every seed produces after its own kind.
Yeah.
So what you do today is going to be your harvest for tomorrow.
So if you are planting seeds of laziness, guess what you get? Nothing. If you plant the seed of indifference, you don't care for you or others, nothing. You don't get anything. So yeah, people think that you and I got the red carpet. We grew up in East LA. El Monte is not, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, pretty
it's
close.
Hard to grow back then. Mm-hmm. Growing up in those cities.
It's a lot better now.
It's a lot better. But growing up back then in those cities, we knew. I mean, you could go to certain blocks, certain areas, and that's it.
Other areas, no, you don't go.
Yeah, you go through there, you're going to get in trouble. Yep. I remember growing up in East LA, they would, occasionally we would be approached, hey, where are you from? From my mama's stomach.
Yeah. And I'm going back there right now, mama!
And I'm running. So yeah, people think it's the red carpet, everything's cool, everything's fine. Now we get to have the clothing, the food, the money, the trips.
It took us hard work and growth.
Yeah, nowadays people, you know, everything instant. Instant soup, instant movie, instant popcorn, instant everything.
That's true.
Life is not an instant, it takes. And if you want a good life, you want to grow, then you got to do. If you don't do, don't expect to grow. And we have him here live, sharing his story. I think it's a beautiful story. It should be a movie, actually.
Yeah,
I think it should be a movie.
Hey, maybe later.
Even this part right here.
Let's go.
When Frank interviewed him and said it should be a movie.
This is where it all started.
And it became a movie.
Yeah,
you know, like I'm sure when they're watching you, we're watching on a video, 6-year-old getting up at 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning. To do that, many people would say, I don't want to be that one.
Yeah.
But they want to be this one. Back then it was a seed of I want to make a difference for my pocket. I want to play.
True.
I want to play baseball. I want to play hockey. I want to play. I want to go boxing gym. Everything.
So got to work for it.
Yeah. And people. Oh man, you said it right. You nailed it right on the money.
Go work for it. Come on, go work for it. Let's go. Let's stop talking. Let's go to work.
Let's go to work.
Let's go to work.
Hey guys, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. This is our first of many interviews. Hopefully we can get somebody as good as this one next time. Very well, I hope you enjoyed it. I thought it was so cool. Growth. Richard Martinez, go for it, Richard Martinez. Where can they follow you?
It's Richard Martinez on Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube, my website. All of it is It's Richard Martinez.
Very well, there you have it. Till next time, your friend, the ambassador reading Frank Iñiguez, wishing you well today and always, knowing that you will find and get what you are looking for. Muchas gracias por mirar nuestro canal o llegar aquí donde damos información que beneficia a la persona que lo mira y a sus seres queridos. Te invito a que seas parte de nuestro canal, suscríbete y ponle la campanita para que mires nuestros nuevos videos. Gracias y bienvenidos.